Hi, everyone, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to this opening panel of the YMCA's Youth-Led Solutions Future of Work Summit, where we'll explore the question, as Trang just said, how do young people prepare today for the future of work? Before we get going, I'd like to introduce you to our panelists, three impressive individuals who have a keen understanding of the challenges and the opportunities awaiting young people in a world of work in transformation. Hannah is Youth Engagement Specialist in the Generation Unlimited global team, where she plays a key leadership role introducing youth engagement practices in governance and programs, including at the country level. Having been a young refugee and war survivor in Kosovo herself, Hannah creates programs to help marginalized adolescents with adverse experiences reach their full potential. Maria is founder of Edimus. Edimus enables working professionals to contribute to the education of Estonian youth. She is a Junior Achievement Alumni from Estonia. And Christian is Advisory Partner and Human Resource Leader at PwC. For the last 10 years, Christian has specialized in the changing work environment, including the consequences of new business models, the green wave, and digitization on jobs. He authored Upskill, 6 Steps to Unlock Economic Opportunities for All, and developed an SaaS platform that enables corporations and governments to upskill at scale. It's called the Skills Expander. Today, he advises numerous governments and organizations around the world and is a regular speaker on the future of work. I'm so excited you could all be here. Thank you so much. A few quick words to our audience. This is a 20-minute panel and will be followed by a 30-minute breakout with our panelists, during which you'll be able to ask our panelists questions. So hold on to your questions and join us afterwards for the interactive breakout. Christian, Hannah, and Maria, let's get to it. Maybe a quick few words of just context here. I mean, we heard a lot from Marco, Professor Travanti earlier. What we haven't heard yet, and this is astounding, according to the United Nations, our world today is home to the largest generation of youth in history. At 1.8 billion worldwide, 1 out of 5 people globally are between the ages of 15 and 24. Nearly 90% of young people in this age group live in developing countries. COVID-19, we're all still going through it. We're not quite out the end yet. It has cast a long shadow over the futures of young people around the world. According to UNESCO, 90% of young people experience school closures, and ILO is telling us that 65 million young people lost their jobs. At the same time, the ongoing transformations in labor markets, as we heard earlier, driven by trends such as technological disruption, climate change, demographic shifts, and the global pandemic, have accelerated the emergence of vastly new job opportunities in areas such as the green, care, and creative economy, as well as completely new ways of working, including the gig economy. The World Economic Forum's 2020 Future Jobs Report notes, I mean, we're talking here about the future of work, but the future of work is here, it's arrived, and the pace of tech adoption will continue unabated. The skills gaps, and this is an area where you are all working, continue to be high as in-demand skills across jobs change just in the next 5 years. So this is really very real and very, very relevant to young people today. In the absence, the World Economic Forum says, in the absence of proactive efforts, inequality is likely to be exacerbated by the dual impact of technology and the pandemic recession. At the moment, job destruction is happening faster than the creation of the jobs of tomorrow. If the jobs of tomorrow will require people to possess cross-cutting skills such as digital literacy, soft skills, and technology, the question is, where do young people get it? Because at the moment, many schools aren't equipping young people with a lot of these skills. Some are, but many are not. Nor are they teaching in a way that makes the most out of modern technology. So Christian, I saw you there a little bit skeptical about one of my questions, one of my points. It's a good thing because I'm going to put you on the hot spot first. PwC is on the pulse of many of the shifts in the world of work. What are the jobs that are emerging? What kinds of skills are most essential for young people? And to the topic of our panel here, how can young people prepare particularly if they're not picking up some of these in-demand skills in school. Over to you, Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen, and really happy to be with all of you today. Well, clearly, as you said, COVID has hit us quite heavily, and 250 million jobs has been destroyed over the COVID period. 250 million jobs destroyed. So that's somewhere the bad news. The good news is that there is a very rapid recovery as we speak, and you might have seen the employment creation in the US last week. And there is also a good news, which is that 150 million tech-enabled jobs will be created in the next 5 years. 150 million. So basically, there is room, and there is ample room to find a job. But of course, you need to have the skills to get there. Clearly, there is different pathways one could choose. Clearly, you've been mentioning all the green jobs, and I'll come back on that one. All jobs related to techno, of course, will be there. We are in the caring economy. There is also, maybe I get into a concrete example on the green jobs, because I think that's really what you want from us, is really to dig into it. So if you look at green jobs, what are we talking about? Because there is this buzzword going on, green, but what does it mean really? So a few examples. New energy. New energy, of course, you all know about energy produced by wind, by the sun, with hydrogen. Of course, those windmills, they will need to be built somewhere. When they're going to be on the ground, they will need to be to be maintained. Same with solar panels. Same with all those new technology with hydrogen. On agriculture, which is one of the main area for employment for instance, in Africa. I mean, organic farming. I know, for instance, I heard some people from Uganda are in the call here. This is kind of the pioneer for organic farming in Africa. But some other countries have less than 1% of their land, which is used on agricultural way, still using a lot of fertilizers in an appropriate way. So training in that area will be key to find jobs in the future. And maybe just to sum up on this one, I think last Friday was launched the United Nations Decade for Ecosystem Restoration. Well, this is clearly also a sign that all those jobs around green will be paramount in the year to come. And I will maybe stop here to leave some time for my partners.
Christian, thank you very much. So hard-hitting insights, very hard-hitting insights, and I think a lot of great new thoughts for young people as they think about the direction that they want to take their jobs to. Hannah, Generation Unlimited works with young people and with multinational companies around the world, supporting young people to gain skills, in many of these areas that Christian has been talking about just now. What do you see are the greatest challenges that young people face? And what are the greatest opportunities in a world of work that is in transformation?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathleen. And thank you for having me be part of this event. And thank you to all the young people that are participating here today. Young people today face many economic, social, and cultural challenges. The types of skills needed in the labor market are changing. Technological changes are making many jobs vulnerable to automation. I think, Kathleen, you set the tone really well in the beginning of the conversation as well. A large proportion of job creation is being driven by only a few entrepreneurs. And so while education system is outdated and it's leading to a large skills mismatch. One thing to say is that these challenges are even more acute for young people in disadvantaged communities, the ones that lack opportunities because of gender, disability, ethnic background, location, and so on. Nearly 50% of companies expect that by next year, automation will lead to some reduction in their full-time workforce. And while more than half of all employees will require significant reskilling and upskilling, and that's certainly a great challenge that young people will be facing. Career progression isn't linear either. The average person currently changes about 5 to 7 times their careers during their working years, and young people today, by the age of 42, may already be expected to have had about 10 jobs already, and that's quite a challenge. The nature of work has changed as well. I mean, it's predicted that by the end of the year, gig gig jobs will actually outnumber traditional 9-to-5 office-based jobs. And another statistic that's quite interesting is that by 2027, up to 60% of the workforce will consist of freelance professionals. And that's just to say that COVID-19 crisis has exacerbated these trends even further. But it's not all doom and gloom, of course. On the plus side, the pandemic has accelerated trends that have been a long time coming. Digitization of the workplaces, the platform economy, expansion of remote and flexible work, and above all, which is where Generation Unlimited focuses a lot of its time, virtual remote education. There are amazing opportunities in the digital skill building sphere, and world-class platforms are already emerging, bridging that gap, that skills mismatch gap that I mentioned, and offering unprecedented opportunities for education to every young person, wherever they may be. The current moment also provides an opportunity for leaders in the business, government, public policy space to focus common efforts in improving the access and delivery of reskilling and upskilling opportunities. And I think this is one of the key strategic priority areas that Generation Unlimited is focusing on. And as a public-private youth partnership, we're focusing all of our efforts in bringing all these leaders together to make not only positive change, but mitigate the issues around challenges young people face in the future of work.
Anna, thank you very much. So I think, one of the key takeaways I take from both of your talks is digital, and technology. This is something that in one way or another, whether in agriculture or other jobs, young people will need to gain a variety of digital skills. Maria, over to you. A question for you. You've chosen to take a different pathway. We often consider the school to work transition. When finishes university, you get a job somewhere, you work your way up the career ladder, and so on. Even if we do change jobs many times in our life, usually one seeks an employer after college. You took a different pathway. What motivated you to choose to become an entrepreneur, and what advice do you have for young people thinking about setting up their own business? Maria, I think you might be on. Yeah, there you go.
Got it now. Yes, I was quite lucky in that sense that my dad already owned a small business when I was growing up, and I could see kind of behind the scenes of entrepreneurship. However, it hasn't been a straight journey from university to become an entrepreneur. I had a job in first IT and then in marketing as well, and kind of even though I knew that one day I wanted to become an entrepreneur, it took me quite a time to realize exactly what and how can I contribute, because I didn't want to become an entrepreneur for just of its own sake, but actually do something which would be impactful. So all the young people out there who probably were just in same positions as I was in high school, where I kind of had an idea what was interesting me. However, I didn't know the right path to go there, because it's impossible to predict such things. I would recommend firstly to participate in different events, and thus I would like to congratulate you all who are already listening to this event, because I think it's a great opportunity to kind of get inspired and network, and maybe find this next nugget of inspiration and passion to go forward from here. And then secondly, don't be shy. If you're passionate about something and interested in something, then share your thoughts and contact the people who could be to help for you. And last but not least, be patient with yourself as well. Don't really be too critical. I know that I've been doing this mistake and just thinking that I could do more and then go for what I was wishing for hasn't been too helpful. So now, being a bit more patient, hopefully with myself, I see that I can go for the things that I really want.
That's inspiring. Thank you for that, Maria. And I really value your advice for young people who are thinking about this pathway of being an entrepreneur. We have a few more minutes left in this session, and I want to pick up on something that Professor Tavanti mentioned in the very beginning, and that is the question of lifelong learning. Kristen, you have changed jobs many times in your life. Hannah, you mentioned that young people might even expect to change their roles as many as 10 times in their life. And Maria, you started out your own business, but maybe it will be so successful you'll sell it and you'll go off and do something else. So what is the role that lifelong learning plays, and what does that actually mean anyway? And what about young people who are getting a degree today? Is it worth it? Should they get a degree? Should they do something else? But really, what is the role of lifelong learning? Christine, I'm going to go back to you first.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that important question, Kathleen. Well, of course, it's still worth having a degree. I think for me, a degree is just like a key to unlock a door. And depending on what kind of degree you have, you just unlock a specific door. But how long is that key worth? I mean, that's the most important thing. For how long is that key going to open the door? And is it going to be easy in the beginning? Kind of, depending on what you've been studying and where and which language and additional skills you're adding to the pot. Like obviously the emotional skills, but also curiosity, social skills, etc. But after 5 years, kind of plus, that key will be kind of used, most likely, or to a large extent. And that's going to be your experience that will be building on that key. And of course, you are going to be learning over and over. And basically, I would tend to tell young people, if your employer is not offering you opportunity to learn, if you ask once or twice, well, obviously after a couple of years, nothing happened. If you don't feel to learn anything but repeat to do the same thing all over again without learning anything, run away, because clearly you're going to have a huge issue moving forward. Your employability is dropping. So learning constantly, adapting to new technologies, cultivating your emotional skills, your curiosity, the how, the why, the when, are really key to move along. Networking, I mean, this is also something which is absolutely key in the current world. So lifelong learning is paramount. I mean, it was already, it's becoming now mandatory.
Thank you, Christian. Hannah, I'm going to look to you because I know that the Generation Unlimited, of course, is doing a lot on skilling and learning. What role does lifelong learning play for you in keeping young people employable, helping young people to stay employable?
Yeah, thank you. Well, developing and enhancing skills and capabilities through long life learning in the innovative digital skilling, learning, and meaningful workspace are key drivers of economic success, but above all, also of individual well-being and societal cohesion. We absolutely need to focus on lifelong learning, on upskilling and on reskilling. So I really appreciate what Christian was mentioning earlier about jobs having a learning component, a reskilling component continuously. We will also need specific tools, though, to really close that skills mismatch gap, like universal access to connectivity and devices, skills-based credentials and certifications, and widespread access to immersive hands-on learning. And there's many pathways to get to these outcomes. Formal education is one of them. Digital skill building is another. Private sector sponsored skills-based work, internships, apprenticeships, etc. One thing to say about university degrees you mentioned earlier, Kathleen, I would say an emerging fact is that formal education diplomas as a skills proxy are diminishing in significance. This makes self-paced, digital, immersive, skills-based learning all the more important. As Christian said, it's university degrees and certifications of that sort are just a door, an entryway, but once you enter that door, it's the skills that push you forward. And those skills don't necessarily always come from university degrees. They come from a variety of skills-based learning. So that's what I would say about that.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Maria, we're not going to get to you on this one right now, but we are continuing, everyone, after the session. So stay with us and we'll learn about what Maria thinks about lifelong learning and what she's doing to keep her skills up to date. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this opening panel, and we look forward to seeing you in the breakout session.